Ladies and gentlemen, as I said in the title, teaching is not for the faint. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting a little bit later start tonight than I normally do. I apologize for that. As I said, this is going to be about teaching, and I'm going to go into some general information about the education system in our country, some personal experiences, and my overall opinion, which a lot of you may not agree with. But like, share, subscribe. If you disagree with what I have to say, let me know in the comments. If nothing else, we'll have you on. We can have a debate. And if you agree, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Now, just to put in perspective, the public school system in the United States of America, there are over 49.9 million students from kindergarten to 12th grade. And that's public and private school. I misspoke earlier. Throughout the country, there's over 130,000 schools, almost 131,000 schools. To give you an idea of how large the population and the infrastructure that's in place for education. And if you're a history buff, you understand the basics of public education. Our education system was designed to create people who are prepared to go work in factories. Well, we've also lost a lot of what made those standouts as students great with creative thinking, because we've done away with a lot of music and art and literature programs that I think would be of great help. I understand the emphasis on STEM, but I also understand that philosophy and art and literature and music, that's where you learn those critical thinking skills that you need to think for yourselves. Now, we talk a lot about these things that are going on in this school or in that school, whether it's in Loudoun, Virginia, or all these other places. Well, the thing is, that's a microcosm if you think about it. So you have one school district, which may have 10 schools. But look at the other, say, 49.5 million students going to school. And the majority of schools are not considered bad by the parents of the students who go to them. And some of that is not misinformation. It's the fact that they're not as involved as they should be. Because I think the biggest problems facing a lot of these students is not that the teachers are too progressive, or they're not teaching them the right things, or it doesn't make sense, or no, I think a lot of it is parental involvement. And I saw that in the classroom. You could tell by talking to the students which parents are involved and which ones are not. Hey, and I apologize for the background. Let me stop for a second and say that. I'm still messing around with lighting now that we're back at this again. So give me a couple more videos to get it figured out, and we'll be good. We'll get it down. But you could tell with the students which ones had parental involvement and which ones didn't. To the point of one girl looking at me and saying, yeah, these are grades I have to make. If not, my parents are going to ground me and do this and do that. And they have a future. You have other students who will show you a video from the inside of a house with a SWAT team surrounding it because they're there to arrest his brother for gun charges. So we have to think about the environments that these students are in. We can't put it all on teachers. In fact, if we're going to put it all on anybody, it comes back to parents. Because I taught at a school that was in one of the hardest hit socioeconomic regions of our city. And I'll tell you now, my fellow teachers, although all of them were more progressive than me, were looking out for the best of the students. And I came in, I was welcomed. I was given all the help I could have needed. The administration was great. The only reason I am not there now is because what was a part-time opportunity turned out to be something a lot bigger, and I just couldn't say no to it, considering I do have a family to take care of. And we got to feed naughty black dog. Y'all saw her in the video. You see what happens when you don't like, subscribe, and share. So that's what I'm dealing with. And she's 8 months old and weighs almost 100 pounds and eats a lot. So that's why I'm not teaching. It wasn't a lack of desire. It wasn't that it was a bad experience. And as we go through this, I'm going to give you some of the stories about it and talk about some of the interactions I had with both faculty and students. Because I was really surprised in a lot of ways at the environment itself, considering where a lot of these kids were coming from. And a few of the teachers that went to the same school when they were in middle school. And like I use the example of they're talking about all these problems with schools, but that's a microcosm of the overall number of students in schools we have. But those same students that came from that school, that went to college, that are now teaching in that school are great examples for these kids to see. Because they see you can look beyond this narrow focus that a lot of people put around you. Give me 1 second.
Naughty Black Dog says, like, subscribe, and share.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to add a real quick edit to this. It's something I meant to talk about during the video and I forgot, so I'm going to put this blurb in there real quick. But I'm going to add the link in the description to a TikToker, and the channel is Honest Teacher Vibes, and she is hilarious. She is a teacher, and she's got some really funny stuff, but she also has some really serious stuff that you want to listen to if you want to know what it's really like to be in a classroom. Hey, you guys have a great Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I apologize. Between allergies because of weather changes and Naughty Black Dog getting into stuff, I had to step away for a second. But like I was saying, the big thing is, depending on what environment you're in, what motivation do these students have to do well? I had 12 and 13-year-olds look at me and say, it really doesn't matter because as soon as they're old enough, they're going to drop out of high school. And if you actually talk to them, you realize the really bad part is a lot of these are the more intelligent kids because they see their future as somewhere else other than continuing through school and becoming a professional accountant or lawyer or doctor or even a welder. And in one case, I talked to a young man who wanted to go in the Air Force and fly jets. And when I explained to him, well, you know, at a minimum, you got to graduate from high school and college to even think about doing that. He's like, well, I don't care. I'll just do something else. And that is not on teachers, because the teachers do try to give them options and show them other things that are out there. And part of that is the reason why we talk about the academic performance lagging, and people point the finger at COVID. Well, the problem is this was going on long before COVID ever happened. The United States education system is producing students that score lower than other nations, and it's been consistent for years. And I say that as somebody who's a product of some of the worst public schools in our country, in the state of Louisiana. And I ended up dropping out and getting a GED. And now I'm sitting on top of 2 master's degrees. So it's not always the school itself. It's parental involvement with those students. And the other knock that people have is that teachers this, teachers that, teachers this, teachers that, because of something that's said by teachers unions. Teachers unions are not teachers. In fact, I often wonder how much control actual classroom teachers have over what comes out of a teachers union's mouth or what they want. Because I think if you were actually to sit down and talk to teachers on average, you would find in the end what they really truly care about is, yes, they have to support their families. They would like to have medical insurance and these other things, and they deserve it. But their key to why they chose this profession was to look out for your children, was to coach, teach, mentor, to help your children grow and learn and become productive adults. Not to feed them into a cycle of failure after failure because we've not given them the tools to succeed. Like I said, my experiences were varied. I had the kids that would look at me and say, it doesn't matter because I'm going to drop out. I'd have the kids that say, it doesn't matter because our grades don't count till you get to high school. But you also had moments where when you help somebody with their pre-algebra test, which I'm going to talk about a funny story about my first experience walking in there as a sub, but gave the test results out, and a little girl asked me, or a young lady, I should say, hey, can I text my aunt and tell her what my score is? This is the highest I've ever gotten in this class. And I was, yeah, it hit me in the heart, man. I'll tell you. But there's other things that hit you in the heart. The young lady whose father was murdered. Another young lady who wrote down her story that she wishes her father wouldn't keep going back to jail. I mean, these are things that what I determined when I was given an opportunity to go from part-time to full-time, and it's far more lucrative, I don't think I could do this for 20 years. I don't think I have the capacity in myself because of what it takes out of you day after day after day. So I will tell you now, those teachers, especially the ones in economically challenged areas, hey, you know what? More power to you. Y'all deserve a raise because I don't know how some of you do this for 25 or 30 years. And just you look at these kids and your heart breaks for them every day. And you can only do so much because they're only there for so many hours. So keep up the fight. You will succeed. You will succeed far more than you even realize because even going to those really bad public schools in Louisiana, there's still certain teachers that stand out for me that really gave me the drive to actually try and learn, which led me to where I'm at now. So I will tell you, those days you feel like you're beating your head against a brick wall trying to get this one or two students to actually do something, hey, keep it up. You are more valuable to this country than anybody will ever tell you, and you deserve so much more than your paycheck will ever reflect. Now, the teachers I worked with, like I said earlier, all of them far more progressive than me, and yet I was accepted, and they helped me and encouraged me, and they were pretty stoked when I came back and kept coming back. The administration, I will tell you now, I could not have asked for a more supportive administration or administrators for somebody that was brand new to this environment, all the way down to the secretary. I mean, it was that entire the faculty and administration of that school was so welcoming and so encouraging. Even when I had a really bad day, and it's why I would never teach sixth grade because those kids almost got me. I almost walked out that day and never came back. I seriously did. So, Rachel, thank you for everything you did for me while I was there. Thank you for all the advice you gave me. And just know that the teachers that work at these schools and teachers in general, they don't go into this to make a fortune. They don't go into it to make statements. They go into it because they want the world to be a better place. And the way they find that they can contribute to making the world a better place is by helping the next few generations learn and think on their own and see a bigger picture than what they see in their neighborhoods. And this could be the great public schools in Connecticut, but they have a very narrow view of life. They don't see the violence that inner city kids see in, say, the Bronx in New York City. Or even here in Columbia, if you go to where I was teaching compared to the other side of town or in Ashland, the kids here have a very narrow view of what success is. So here's my challenge to you. If you think you have all this figured out and you want to condemn these teachers, it's really not hard to get licensed as a substitute in any state. So my challenge to you is get your substitute license, go down and apply, and 1-2 days a week over a span of, say, 2 or 3 months, work in these schools. Work side by side with these teachers. Work with the administrators and work with these students. And go into it with an open heart and go into it because you want to show them something different. You want to show them that there are so many paths to success that they have never seen. Like the young lady that looked at me and said, well, my parents don't have money for me to go to college, so it doesn't matter anyway. And I explained to her when she gets to the point when she's a junior, senior in high school and starts applying, 65% of grants and scholarships are never taken because people don't even know they exist. And that's free money to go to school. And she perked up. And I'm like, that's what they can explain to you at that point, how these things go. And, one of the eighth graders I had, well, she's a freshman now, but challenged me because she found my YouTube channel about making this video. So what I will say to the eighth graders from Oakland last year, you guys are awesome. I hope you all had a great freshman year, and I wish you all the success in the world. To the teachers I worked with, to the administrators, you guys are awesome. My heart goes out to you. because just a small amount of time I spent there are so many things that I saw done, and so many students that if you didn't realize it, their lives will be different. Maybe not drastically, but as a teacher, administrator in that school, you truly have done the part that you can to make their life just a little bit better, if nothing else. So know that when you lay your head down at night to go to sleep. And to the rest of the people out there watching this, you want to condemn teachers and administrators? Get your substitute license. Go spend some time in those schools. Get your skin in the game and see if it's really as bad as you say it is or as bad as you think it is. Because if you're not willing to do that, then in my mind, you don't get a vote. If you're not willing to get down in the trenches and put skin in the game, then you don't get to condemn what's going on. You really don't. Parents, be involved. Reach out to your kids' teachers. Be open when those teachers reach out to you. Because there may be something really small in third, fourth, or fifth grade that, if addressed, could lead your child to be very successful or very unsuccessful and end up in a system that could take a lifetime to get out of. Hey, with that, everybody have a good evening. Remember, like, share, subscribe, and remember the words of JFK. Always dare to fail